My name is Amy Vitale, and I'm a National Geographic photographer and filmmaker. I got started as a photographer mainly because it was a way of overcoming my complete, painfully shy, introverted self. It was a way for me to engage with the world. And I was so afraid of people, and the camera became this tool, this real passport for me for first getting over my own fear, and then as I started to get into it, I realized that it's incredibly powerful, and it allowed me to amplify other people's voices, and it was a way to connect people and cultures and stories. I think with National Geographic, they kind of find you. You don't find them. I was working in India and began working with Adventure magazine, which was a magazine that used to be around, and slowly, after many years, got invited to meet with one of the editors at the mothership, the main magazine. In the beginning of my career, I was always asked to focus on the most sensationalistic, often violent parts of humanity. And after about a decade of covering conflict after conflict, I started to realize that all these conflicts are always connected to our resources. And in a way, everything was dependent on nature for its outcome. And that's when I made this complete 180 and changed the trajectory of my work. I started to focus on not just conflict and humanity, but also the natural world. And I really believe that you can't just talk about people. It's always a story about nature, and vice versa. So all my work is about coexistence. It's about the planet. It's about where we're going. And now I've really continued to tell the story about humanity, but how we protect these last great spaces and species. I was invited to be part of a foreign film crew photographing the first female panda that was born in captivity as she was being sent back to the wild. And I wanted to be empathetic to her, so our whole team dressed up as trees in these ghillie suits. And the head of the panda program was so delighted that we were empathizing with this panda that he came running up to me and said, "You are going to get to hold 2 baby pandas." And then he paused and said, "President Obama, he only hold 1. And I knew that I had my in, and so I went back and asked if I could do a much deeper story about the incredible work that China is doing to save this species from extinction. And I ended up spending 3 years making multiple trips to go and tell this incredible story. And I think that it's an important story because it's a story that surprises us. I mean, I think that people are so used to only hearing the bad environmental stories coming out of China. You know, they're not known for their particular love of wildlife and the environment, but guess what? They are doing so much that we never hear about. It's one of the few countries in the world where forest coverage is actually growing. They've got huge reforestation programs. They're trying to link existing corridors. And what that means is not just the panda benefits, but a whole host of other species living in those forests. We have one planet Earth and we don't get a second chance. And it is this tiny little shared life raft that I think we're at this moment where we see the future unfolding in front of us. We see it coming. We have this tiny opportunity to change the course that we're on. And it's not hopeless. I see so many beautiful stories that need a light shined on them, because I think they become the blueprint for so many other places. I think it's important for people to know the challenges that lie ahead, but also to provide the solutions where things are working. And frankly, yes, we need governments getting involved, but I actually believe a lot of it is just individuals, the power of individual voices to go out and make a difference and change the world, to create the world that they want to live in, is real. And that's what my work is about. I'm finding these hope spots all over the planet where people without money and power or political power going out and really changing the destiny of their own future. Diversity of viewpoint is essential. It can't just be one perspective, and I'm really privileged and honored to be a woman doing this kind of work, and I hope that more women will join me, and it can't just be women and a gender issue. It actually also needs to be diversity of background, different minorities, different cultures and countries, and everybody needs to get engaged in this. That's what's going to make a difference. My main message, it's not just about making beautiful images. It's got to be more. Those images have to have a story, a real story to them, because I want these pictures to be a wake-up call to people, to remind us that we are on this planet together and that we all have a voice. I want it to inspire people to get engaged, because the reality is very few of us are engaged in caring about the planet, in conservation, in the future of the natural world. And all of us have a very, very important voice. If your way of getting engaged is through photography, that's great. But there's so many other ways to get engaged, and I want my photography to ignite that action and inspire people to remember the power of an individual is real. We can all make a difference in big and small ways. Whether you share stories, you get people to care about what's right in their backyard, or 10,000 miles away. We all have impact. We shouldn't wait for our governments to create legislation. Actually, it often just starts with a few voices, and that's why I love National Geographic. Actually, it's really about individuals out there fighting the good fight.